This week we'll be looking at polylines and text commands and putting tables into our drawings, and also using some geometry tools to measure things in our drawings to get data back on them. So to start off with is polyline. This is kind of the finishing up ways to draw things, and we hadn't covered polylines before. Polyline, kind of what it sounds like, it's a collection of lines all stuck together, and it highlights as a single object. So if you see I'm in the ICA file for today. You see if I hover over these things, it all collects together instead of separate little pieces of lines all lined up on top of each other. It is, in AutoCAD's brain, it is one single element. And so we can adjust it and we can edit it as a single item. Why would we want to do this? Sometimes it's easier to grab it. Right now, if I were to grab this, for instance, I can drag this all over the place, and so it all moves as one. I don't even have to select it as a copy command or a move command and move around that way. I can edit it all as a group. I can change all of the line weights, and I can change layer and all of them immediately just by clicking once and making the changes for that. And later on, when you get into design work, there's a way to use these line objects, and those are basically like polylines. And so you can create these smart objects in your design files, and it gives you a lot more creativity, I guess. AutoCAD can use those to do more advanced things like roadway alignments, profiles, and so on from that. So just a little background today to get started. I'm in our ICA file for today. This is chapter 8. We're backing up and just catching polylines before we move on. It's the only thing we're doing in chapter 8 this week. I'm in Civil 3D, but I've got up here in the workspace. Right? Normally, if you opened up Civil 3D, it would look like this. Right? And you'd have all these extra toolbars and whatnot, and you've got everything. You've got your modify commands, and you've got your layer commands, and you've got your creation commands up here, your draw commands, all that's there. It's got extra things for making highways. So Civil 3D is what that's for. And if you switch it over to drafting annotation workspace up here at the top left, switch it to drafting, it gets rid of the stuff you don't need for basic AutoCAD. And it shows those in the menu bar. It'll show like the modify commands larger and the draw commands larger. It's a little easier to find them. I would recommend that for this class at this point. If that bothers you, if you want to see our commands easier, right, that's where they are, up there. So polylines, this is the polyline command, or you can type pline in it. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw an object with a polyline at a width of 0.1. And so if I start the polyline command, right, now down here in my command window, it's telling me what's waiting for. It says, well, pick a point. Well, we're supposed to draw this shape. I don't have any dimensions, so I just have to get close. I don't have to do a very perfect job on it. I'm going to turn my ortho on so that I can draw 90-degree angles. So down here in the bottom right menu bar, I'm going to turn on my ortho drawing, and that's this one right here, ortho mode. And now I can just start drawing. And the first thing, I click there, and now I have other options down here. Do I want to do a arc and a half width? Do I want to set the length, undo, or the width? Well, it told me I needed a width of 0.1. I better check and make sure if I've got a width of 0.1. And so I do already, because I've practiced on this already. I could change that width. I could change it to 0.2. And the way it's a little weird, if you ask me. So that's a 0.2, and we didn't want that. So I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to hit U for undo, hit the space bar, and it goes away. Now I'm going to start over. Now I'm going to change it back to the proper width. And I'm just going to click here to start it. I'm going to hit W for width, or I could come down here and I could click on width, but I'm just going to hit the W for width, and I'm going to hit the 0.1, and that's my starting width. And then that's at this point here where I started. Now it's also going to ask me specify the ending width. So what's the other end of the line going to be? Because you can change width as you draw. So kind of odd thing. I'm going to say, yeah, 0.1. I want 0.1 as well. So now it's a constant width of 0.1. And I can click there, and this isn't perfect by any means. I can click there. If I hit close now, it will automatically finish and snap to where I ended, or I can just come up here and snap to it. And I didn't get it quite perfect. I'm going to hit C for close. It's a little bit weird. I'm going to scoot that over there. That looks good. Now I'm all ortho. It's not perfect. It's close enough, right, from that. So that's P-line. So this is a polyline. If I click on this, get out of the command first, hit escape. If I click on it, you can see now I've got all these grips, little blue grips. This is selected as a single item. And so this is one element in AutoCAD versus multiple lines. That's what P-line does for us. All right, for that. Next, I'm supposed to grab this thing. I'm going to hit Control C. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to hit Control V. I'm just going to drop it in here. And now I'm supposed to edit this, and I'm supposed to make it look like this. First off, I need to change everything should have widths of 0.2 now, so it should be thicker than this one. And I need to make some edits, and so I'm going to use the P-edit command. And I just typed it in. I'm going to click which object. I'm going to hit that one. And now I've got all these options right down here. And I'm going to start off with width. It's right here. I could hit W or that. And this will change it for all of it. I'm going to go 0.2 there. So now I've got a 0.2 width on there. Now I'm going to edit vertexes because I want to change some of these vertexes. The vertexes are the corners. So I'm going to hit edit vertex, and now I've got a little X symbol here, and that shows me which vertex am I working on right now. If I wanted to move it or delete it or whatever, that's where I'm at. And to move to the next one, I just hit N, and I just keep hitting N and N. So now I'm over here, and this one, let's move this down to about here, so that it look like that. So I'm going to come over here to move, or hit M. And move, and where do I want to move it to? Select my new location. I'm going to put it right there. And it moved that vertex. It realigned the lines between it. Well, now this one looks a little odd. I'm going to back up one. So I'm going to hit P for previous. I'm going to hit move, and I'm going to move that up there. So now I've realigned those two portions there. I can just keep working my way around. All right, from here, I can do a straighten command. And if I want to get rid of this change there, I can do straighten, and I'm going to go to next, and then hit G for go, and it straightens the two. So you have to pass two vertexes and then hit go. That means enable the straighten command. You start the straighten command, and then you move, and then to the point you start at this point you want it to start straightening at, and then as you move around, when you get to the end point that you want to end the straightening, then you hit go, G, and it goes there. And now this one, so I'm going to edit vertexes again. I want to do next. There I am. So this is my next vertex, and I want to move this one, and I'm going to move it up here. Oop, like that. I'm getting close. All right, from that. So that's the P-edit command. Down here again, as you start drawing this, and this one you're supposed to draw this thing in two pieces, right? So I'm going to do P-edit, and I'm going to draw it. I'm going to do P-line, and I'm going to start drawing this and turn off my ortho, so I'm drawing at an angle. I'm going to do it in two lines. So let's change my width to, what's it say? To use has a width of 0 and an end of 0, and that's my first line. And now I'm going to draw my second line, and my starting width of the second line is, our second segment of this P line has a starting width of 1 and an ending width of 0.2. Type that in down there, and there's that. I'm just going to get as close as I can, and there we go. And so that's my version of that. And now I can come back in with P-edit, and I can adjust those widths, and I can move that around. And we've practiced that. I'll let you guys do that on yours. Through that, over here with P-editing, here's my original piece, and what they did is they're straightening these curves and taking those curves out of it. And so you can do the P-edit command again and jump in here and grab this one. And I'm going to do edit vertexes, and I'm down here. Well, let's go next, and if I want to straighten this, I have to start straightening here. So I'm going to hit straighten. I'm going to go to the next, and hit go, and it straightens that. Takes out that arc in there from that. So I'll let you continue on with that. So the next piece we're going to be working on is text. So this is the big deal, is getting the text here. So over here inside this blue box, we're supposed to make this text similar as we can to what we've got there. All right, from that. So to do text, you can type in text. I've become more of a menu person, so that's under annotate. So under annotate now, here is text. I can do multi-line text, I can do dimensioning, all this stuff. I'm doing text, so I'm going to do multi-line. So I'm going to hit multi-line text. It says, where do I want to start it? I want to start it over here. So I make my little window there. Boop, pops up. All right, and it's ready to go. And now I needed to recreate that. And so I need 45 what I needed degrees. Where do I find this degree symbol? Well, that's a symbol, and it's up here in this menu bar. You can see right here. And I'm going to click that symbol. I'm going to add degrees. There it is. And so next I need 1.375 plus or minus. Now, where do I find the plus or minus? Guess what? It's under symbols. So here's plus minus. 0.005, right, from that, and so forth and so on. You can underline things. Over here, it gives you options, and so if I highlight text, now it'll give me some options to formatting, and so I can underline things, I can cross it out, I can put overlining on it if I wanted to. Here's the underline option. I can do subscripts and superscripts, all that. Through that, I can change what font I've got. Over here is my font settings, so I can change any of the fonts I want there. I can change what layer they're coming in on, and over here is the size of the text, and so that's for our starting point. That's great. I'll let you take care of all of that on there, and so that's that piece. Over here now we're supposed to recreate this, and we're going to drop in fields, and so I'm going to come back, start a new multi-line box over here, and I'm going to say, well, right now it is February 5th, I guess, the day I'm doing this, 2023. Great. I'm on 2 lines. Why is that? It's because it wrapped around. I didn't make my multi-line box big enough. I click that once, and now I've got this grip here. I can stretch this out. I can make my box bigger. Yeah, it worked nice. All right. So if I didn't make it, you can always come back and adjust that, right? I just clicked on it once, and now I can adjust it, and it'll automatically reconfigure the text to fit inside whatever box you made. You're creating a text field, and it won't go past that field. So if you're trying to put your text in on a drawing and you don't want it running off the side, that's how we do it. I can get it on there. So there's my text, and the next piece I need to add into here is a smart field. So it's got we call it text fields, and so we can drop those in there, and that's what I want to do. So I want to come back in here and edit this. I just double click that. I'm back into it, and I want to add a field into it, and the fields are up here in the menu bar. Click the fields. Here's all the options I have. I can do by category. I can do things about my document. What's the file name, so forth and so on. I can look at everything. I can do date and time. And what's the thing we're supposed to do? We're supposed to do date and time. And so let's say current date, and what's the format? Date and then time. So let's see if we can find one that looks like date and then time. That looks like it with seconds, right? I think it says that. So I'm going to click OK, and it drops it in. And now here's my auto text box. Every time I save the drawing, that should update, and it should be updated. And that's why we like fields, is you can set these in your title blocks with your file name and your last change date, and it automatically updates, and every time you plot it, it's on your print then, and will always show what the date and time the last edit was. You don't have to worry about it. I can also drop in a file name here. I can do this says date and time. I want to do things about the document, and I want to do the file name, and I want to do my path and file name, and that's really handy. I use this all the time on commercial prints. I was working for a company. It's because sometimes you wonder where someone got this file, or where it's plotted from, or where do you find it again, and you can drop this in usually over on the edge, on the printed edge of it, and then everyone can find it again. Right? There's no guessing. In this case, this was a big long one through there. You can pick the shorter one, which is just the name of the file, or you can use the whole path. If I was in a consulting firm still, I would be using the whole path because that's handy. Right? The next thing we're doing is we're playing with styles. And so this is great. I'm just using some default text version over here, and it's fine. Like, that looks great, whatever. But what if I want to get fancy with it? And so to get fancy, I come over here and I can make styles out of this. And up here is our style. And so if I've got named styles, here are more of them. And if I want to make my own, I come down here right below there, and I click on Manage Text Styles, and I click on that. And in the dialog box, right now I'm running standard, and that came with AutoCAD. And so if I want to do a new one, just make a new style, and I'm going to call it Arial, because I'm about to make that. And so now I've got one. There's Arial. What's my font going to be? I'm going to pick Arial as my font. I'm going to come up here. I'll probably just pick standard Arial if I can. There it is. True type font Arial. Yep, very good. And what's my width factor? So I can expand it. And so I can do my width factor of 3. And you can see a little bit of example there. Do I want any oblique angle? Do I want it upside down or backwards? Nope. All that looks good. I'm going to set the height. We were at a 0.35, I think, before. All that looks great. I'm going to set it as the current. The current style has been modified. Yep. Let's do that. So now I'm Arial, right, and close. And so now my style is ready to go. Now I've made this one Arial. It's ready to roll. I'm going to do multi-line text. I'm going to put my text over here, and now I'm going to type in all caps, Arial, expand width by 3, and it wasn't big enough. And so I'm going to stretch that out. Apparently I didn't make this big box big enough. All right. And so now that's that style, and it's because I set the style, it works that way. Now I can double click in this. There we go. If I highlight any text in here, I can edit just that text, and now I can come here and I can change the size. 0.3, and that would fit in the box better. I could underline it now. I can come under here and formatting. I can change that stretch factor. Here's my stretching factor. All right, I can make that back to 1, so that takes that out. I can put spaces in between the characters like that, and I can make it oblique or non-oblique, or that's a forward slant. I can do a -30, put a backward slant on it, or slant to the left, I guess is how they call it, through there. So those are some more of the options we've got in there. I can bold it, italicize them in the standard ones, but these are kind of special to CAD, I guess, adding in those different formatting. And then I can just click out of it. Do I want to save changes? Yeah. And so now I've adjusted it. And so for each one of these, I would say you should make a different style, because if you don't, so here's the deal, right? If I do my next one in here, and this one is supposed to be, caps lock is still on, mono text, blah, 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 right? From that, well, it came in as that standard style. Now if I can adjust this, and now I could come through here, I could find mono text. There it is. And so there's mono text right from that. But when you get to these fancier ones, like going backwards, the only way to do that is actually through the style. Well, if I come in here and I change the style, it changes everything else that was on that same style layer. And so that's what we don't really want. So I would make a new style for each one of these. It's good practice anyway. Right from that, like this vertical one, right, the way to get vertical. Right, if I were to come in here, right, there's no way to fix that. If I highlight this, highlight it, or you can get Control A and highlight all of it. Right, and so here's my formatting. If I wanted to change, let's say that spacing now, to 15 or something like that, right, from there, that'll change that one. But I don't have these options that I was looking for like making this vertical. And the only way to do that is actually to come in here, oops, there, and change what style we're running. And so I have to change the style. I don't have any other styles in here. I can't do that while I'm in the text editing piece. And so I have to actually come in and make a new style. When I make that new style, now I can make these effects on it. You don't have otherwise out of that. And let's see, click through here, and so now if I came in, my Arial can't do vertical, but some of these other ones can. So like standard could, I can make it vertical. But if I apply this now, everything else that was in standard format is going to, like this, has now switched to vertical. Well, that's not what we wanted. So that's the problem with that, and that's why we want to make individual styles, is so that when you come back and edit it, You're not changing everything you typed in before. Now, the reason we like that is if we change it, if we did an entire sheet with a certain font, we didn't at the end decide we didn't like that font, and it was all in the same style, we can make a change to the style, and all of the font automatically updates to what we want it to be. It's like the same way you're using styles in Microsoft Word, right? If you change your style, if you change what your base text is from like a Calibri to an Arial, it'll change the whole file if everything is a normal font style from that. Okay. Over here now, you're going to open up a Word document and you are going to drop in and make columns. And just real quickly, as we're coming along here, I'm still in this annotation. I'm going to drop in a multi-line text field over here. And I can check, I don't remember which style I was using. Let's say I was using standard style for it, and now I can come over to columns up here in the menu bar, and I can say, well, it's dynamic. If it needs to, it'll automatically do columns. I'm going to make it go to 3 columns wide. Well, there's my 3 columns. And I can also make changes to these columns by coming here and going to column settings. So I went to columns in the menu bar, column settings. How tall do I want those to be? Let's make them 20 tall. Let's make my total width also be 20, and let's make my gutter 0.5 in between. And okay, so now I've got these 3 columns with small gutters between it. And now I'm going to come over here to a Word doc. I've got them, but I still have that open. I do. All right. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pop into this Word document. I'm going to highlight everything down below there, hit Control C. Come back to my drawing file and back in there, and I'm going to hit Control V, and I'm going to drop it in right from that. And it looks like it was too big a font, right? So I'm in standard. I should have read the instructions. Over here, the instructions told me that I wanted to use Arial of a text height to 20. Well, now am I out of luck? What am I going to do? Well, you know how to edit stuff. So I'm in here. I hit Control A. I select all of the font, all of that in there. I can change this over here to 0.2. I can type it in if it doesn't exist already, 0.2, and I can change it to Arial. Or I can make a style, and I could change the whole style for that, which, from what I just said, was the better way to do things. Normally, I'm in a hurry. All right, and so there's my Arial text height to 0.2, 20, columns 3, gutter 0.5, column height 20, all that. And if you drop that in, then there we go. And I've got too much spacing in here. Control A, that must have been part of that style. So if I go to that, line spacing 1.0, there we go. I want line spacing 1.0, and that's more like it's supposed to look here. And then you're going to copy this over, and you're going to make changes to it to make it Century Gothic, and then you're going to change it again and make it Romans, and down to 0 columns or 1 column, right through that. And so that's again in your CAD life in the future. We do this all the time. We'll write stuff in a Word document first or as a notepad, and then we grab the text and we drop it in. And the point is, no matter where you're grabbing text from, it could be another AutoCAD drawing. It's good to know how to make edits to it and change the format of it and change the style on it. Next thing we're looking at is dropping in tables. And so we can make tables inherently within AutoCAD, or we can drop them in. And again, my experience has been I prefer to make tables in Excel and then pop them in from Excel. So like I say, I'll often make these tables in advance in Excel. So I've got an example one here. I'll slide this over. This is the one you're going to be downloading. It's just a general table. InDOT likes to put all their structures in a great big table. It's a lot easier to make that table in Excel first and then just pop it over into AutoCAD then. There's a couple different ways to do it to get this, to drop tables in there. And the book has a long section on how to do that. We're just supposed to copy things within the box, so I'm just going to highlight everything in the box. I'm going to hit Control C on my keyboard. It's highlighted now as a copy. And you have to leave it. You don't want to hit Escape or anything else. I come over here, back in, click once to get back into AutoCAD. I'm going to do Control V to paste it. And it's going to paste it. I'm going to snap it down here to the bottom corner because I'm supposed to fill the corner. And there it is. There's the data I had from that. It doesn't fill the box. Well, I can just click it once, grab the grip up here and drag it up and snap it. And now I filled the box. And that's what we're supposed to do. So there I've just inserted a table. Oh, it looks great. And it's static. This is a picture from a Excel spreadsheet, and I've dropped in here, and this will not change. And so that is a static drop in there. And that's great if whatever you wrote, whatever your table is, you don't expect it to change. Or if it is, you're going to come back in, you have to do this all over and drop it in. Well, maybe we want to be a little smarter about it. Maybe we want to drop a table in and link it. And so we can also do that. And so up here under annotation, I've got table. I can get my table started. And so I'll show you where that is again. All right. So I'm in the home menu, and I'm in, I say, drafting the annotation. And so I come across here in table. Now, if you're in Civil 3D view, this may be hidden in a different spot. So here's annotate, tables in here if you're on the annotate menu. And so either way you can get to it, right? So here's my table style. I'm just doing a standard, great. I can make a brand new table, and I can set how many rows and columns and how high each row is and all that stuff, or I could make a link, right? And so I'm going to do it from a data link. I'm going to do it from object, from a data link. Yeah, click that right one. And what kind of data link? And I'm going to click here. And so I'm going to create a link. And within Microsoft, they have an OLE. They call them links. Object linked something or other, OLE. And so it's pretty smart. And AutoCAD knows how to work well with Microsoft and with Excel. And so I'm going to go to an Excel data, and I can make a new link. Well, I already found my file. You're going to have to click here, give it a name, and it's going to pop up. It's going to be a path, and then you're going to have to show it where your file is and go and find your path there. So I'm going to exit out of this because I've already got mine in here. I don't want to have two of them. I have already one called traffic data. So I'm going to grab it. Right, let's go. Let's make a new one. This is an example, and it will be linked to the same file. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to hit Excel, open it, link entire sheet, or don't do a range. Well, I want to do a range. And I'm going to look over here on my table, and what's my range? My range is, I just want this piece. I don't want the whole thing. So I'm going to go C9 to O21. So cell C9 to cell O21. Back over there. So I want to go C9 to O21. And let's preview it. And it's going to take us a second to think about it a little bit. Sure, I click that. Preview is too large to display. Okay. Let's just go with it. Okay. And we'll click OK. And now it still says it's too large. I didn't think it'd be that large. So we've got that. Now I just have to specify the insertion point, and I'll click OK. And where do I want to put it? Put it right there. Ooh. Well, something went wrong. It did not put it where I expected it to, so let's try it again. Let's do that. Let's annotate table. My table is from a data link. I'm going to do traffic data because that's the one I had. Oh, this one I found it. So, and I'm going to drop it in here. Oop, there it is. All right. And so that's that. It looks different, right? And I can change the size of it also. I can stretch this out if I wanted to. Well, there it is. It doesn't change the text size. You have to do that separately for some unknown reasons. All right, but now I can do some good stuff in here. I can do some edits, right? I can highlight these boxes. Oh, don't do that. I can highlight those. Now I can come over here and I can format these things. Here's my alignment. I could change those to be top center. Let's do middle center. So I can fix that. Formatting in those, could have moved them to the side. I can change the fonts in here if I wanted to. all that. And you can see it's smart enough to know that, when I hover over this, it looks kind of like an Excel spreadsheet along the edges here. It gives me all the rows and stuff. Well, the cool thing is now that I'm linked, this is an active object. And so if I come back to my file here, let's look at a line here. This left in 2034 is a 136.7. See, there's my 136.7, so that's that cell. All right, from that, if I come back here, and let's change my growth rate to a 3% or something. I'm going to save the file again. I have to save it to make the changes. I've saved it. I'm going to pull this off over here. All right, I come back into, come back in here. And now, if I just click save again on it, now it's warning me. It says data link has changed. Right? There's something that it was linked to has changed. Do I want to update it? And I'm going to click this little blue link, and that will update it. And then give it a second. And there it went. So now I've got 186 over here, and that is what this should be. All right, should be when I went to when I went to the 3%. If I change it back to that, and I hit save, probably. All right, this has popped up again. Oh, something changed in one of our links. Do you want to update it? Yeah. So I'm going to update that, and it takes a second. Here you can see down here is it's thinking bar, and it's thinking, and now it's back. And so that is an active link to a spreadsheet, and that is cool because if you're doing structured data tables or something like that and you drop them into your AutoCAD file, then when you change your spreadsheet, next time you come in, it'll ask you if you want to update. Yeah, and that's super easy. Versus this one, I'd have to come back in and copy and paste each time. And that's why we like that. That's cool. And then the last thing for today is inquiry commands. And so it's great drawing all this stuff, but what if I want to know this? If I want to know like the area or the perimeter or the diameters of any of these objects I've drawn, and I'm not sure what they are, but there's a couple ways to do it. One is using the properties box, and that'll tell you some of the information about it, but then we've got this measure geometry command, and that's the best way to do it. And so you're going to use that, and you're going to edit. You're going to jump in here and you're going to edit this text and put your answers into the text box as we go. But measure geometry is, you can just type it in, measure geometry, and it'll, there it is. That is not the right one. So... oh, there it is. I misspelled it. There we go. So now I can come around here, and it automatically is telling me things about some of these areas. And if you look at the command line, right, I can ask it for a specific thing. I can ask it for an area, or as I jump around, it's going to tell me like it's got dimensions already on it. Through there, it's got the distance across there, distance across there. So it's kind of cool. It automatically, dynamically is updating as I move around in here. So if I wasn't sure if I had drawn an object correctly, I can just come here and use that command and jump around on it through that. If you want to use it in the menu bar, I'm in the home menu, right? And I come across here under utilities, this is the measure command, and that's the same one. And I can do all those things specifically, or if I just hit measure, that's actually the same command. It's measure geometry. All right, so that's the button for it. That's the menu bar button for it. From there, and like the first one, I need to know area of circle number 7. Here's circle number 7. That's that one. And I want to know the area of it. And if I click area, right, and click in here, come on. Oh, it's giving me trouble now. Get out of there. All right, let's start over. Come in here and measure that. And then it tells me the area right there just as I hovered over it. It's 0.3417. The perimeter of that is 2. I can tell what it's measuring because it highlighted it in green, right, from that. And so there. And I can come here and I can, that one, so the command is on now. Every time I click, it's going to repeat it from there until I hit escape. And so I can check all these. It does area and the perimeters, that's great. I could go back to distances, and where do I want to measure from? I want to measure from there. It'll measure the distance, give me my X and the Y and what my total is. Right, so my total distance is 4.6993. It's in the X and the Y. Here's the angle, right, from that. So if I want to know what the angle, distance from, let's do distance, and I want to go from here to there, right? Now it's telling me what the distance is. I also know what the angle is going across at that point, and so forth. So that's the nice part around it. Quick mode is what I was just in. That's pretty nice. It's pretty good. I can click in the whole thing. Now I can get the whole area, but minus what's not turned green. And so that's another way to do it on that. That should cover it for today.